Mistakes. Everyone makes them. Regardless of age, mistakes can happen to anyone. They are simply just a part of growing up. Making mistakes or doing something wrong can be hard for us in the moment, but they always prove to be experiences we can learn from.
Yup, that's us. Let's take a walk down the Mistakes Hall of Shame. First up, oh wait, never mind, we already know about him. Let's start with this fool, framed back in 2005.
My ankles were scratched, my front teeth were missing, and my knees were shaky as I ran round and round, checking every cabinet in the house. I was desperate to fulfill my cravings. No, I wasn't on drugs. I was an 8-year-old desperate to find some chocolate. The problem started when there was no chocolate to be found. My mother was a sweet old woman, always willing to reason with me. I threw a tantrum regardless. It worked. She decided to take my brother and I to the mini-mart across the house to buy some snacks. I remember entering the mini-mart was an explosion of happiness. Every corner, every aisle was stocked with candy. I instantly reached for the nearest Snickers bar as soon as my mom shouted, "Don't touch anything!" Annoyance grew in me. But I listened. I was gonna get what I wanted anyways. A few minutes later, the counter was stacked with snacks. Lay's, Kit Kat, Skittles, you name it. After my mother paid, my brother and I couldn't wait to get home. You know when you have an older brother and you're always trying to beat him in minor challenges to inflict the boys rule, girls rule saying? Well, this time, it didn't work. "Let's race," I said, and I started counting down. On your marks, get set, and my Snickers bar falls out of my jacket pocket. My life flashed before my eyes. I remember a lot of screaming, a surge of disappointment from my mom. I was forced to go back and return the bar. But as soon as I entered the mini-mart, I crawled into a corner, devoured the Snickers bar, and walked right out. My craving was satisfied, but the guilt still remains. My mother will never know what really happened to that Snickers bar.
Unfortunately, I was 18, not 8, but my mistake also resulted from being broke. It was December 2016. My best friend flew from Victoria to spend Christmas with me and my family. When she arrived, we hit the usual downtown Toronto hotspots. Just after New Year's, my younger sister and her friend asked us to come skating with them at the harbor front. I grabbed my bright red coat, almost empty wallet, and car keys, then we all piled into my tiny Volkswagen Jetta. We pulled up to the station and parked across the street so we wouldn't have to pay for parking. Then we walked through the doors, down the stairs, and straight to the platform. This is where we convinced my young sister and her friend that they shouldn't pay for the train. They were very unconvinced and begged us to just let them pay, but we told them we had been down 4 times in the last week and a half and were never checked. Still, they only reluctantly followed us onto the train. They sat across from us on the upper floor with pale faces and nervous glances. I could tell they didn't trust us, so we opted for a distraction tactic to make them forget about it. We told them how terrible we were at skating and all our embarrassing skating fails to make them laugh. It worked. Within minutes, they were laughing and telling us stories of their own. We passed the next 3 train stations, and they were becoming more and more relaxed. 2 more stops to go, no problem. And then it happened. "Tickets, please." The big man in the yellow jacket reached the top of the stairs and towered over the lady at the opposite end of the hall. My sister's head whipped around, and she looked back at me in panic. There were only about 6 other people on this floor. I didn't have a lot of time to plan our strategy. Okay, think. The bathroom is too far away. What else can I do? "Can I see your tickets, ladies?" My whole face went pale, and I slowly went to lift my bag, and even more slowly began to reach my hand in. "If you don't have tickets, don't waste my time." Act stupid it is. "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. We aren't from here. We're visiting from Victoria, and we weren't sure where to go or what to do. Do we not pay at the end?" You should have asked someone. You never just get on a train without paying. It's like going to the grocery store, putting a ham under your coat, and walking out. It's stealing, and you could be arrested. Okay, now he's being a bit dramatic. He does not have the power to arrest us, but I feigned remorse anyways. "You know it's $100 fine per person who doesn't pay." His voice was getting louder and louder, and my sister's tears were looking more and more likely to fall. I hoped they would. "I'm going to let you ladies off with a warning this time. Follow me to the counter to pay for your tickets, but if this happens again, you will all be fined." We thanked him, followed him off the train, and paid for the tickets. Then we started the walk of shame to the skating rink. It was silent at first, until my sister began her long rant of rage towards me. Back to my distraction strategy to keep her from telling Mom, I guess. But lesson learned, I wouldn't be skipping out on GO train payments again.
I grew up as a fairly honest child, and I still try to be an honest person. I don't care to hide things or lie, especially to my closest friends and family. When thinking back to a time that I felt the worst after being dishonest, I can only think of one moment, and I still kick myself for creating that situation. This happened a few years ago. I work at a shoe store, which is both a blessing and a curse in itself. But our most recent shipment of stock had the most beautiful shoes in it. Vans sneakers with flames on the side. Of course, just days before, my family had sat me down and told me that I absolutely do not need any more shoes. So naturally, I decided to buy them anyways, but leave them in the store so my family would never find out. For most people, this might not seem like a huge deal, but for someone like me, who very rarely hides things, it was. During this time, I had various nightmares about my parents finding out about the shoes, all of which ended in tragic punishment of some sort. I very clearly remember the time I had worn them home by accident, within the very first weeks of even purchasing them. I don't think I've ever removed shoes off my feet faster than when I realized I was wearing them with my whole family in the car. My mom took a quick glance down at my feet, but before she had time to do a double take, they were off and behind my seat. Realistically, I should have told them right then and there, but that would have made things far too easy for me. My charade lasted for about 6 months until I finally told my family about the shoes and brought them home. I was prepared for a scolding, but the only thing I was scolded for was hiding anything in the first place. "You're so stupid for not telling me," my mom said. "Those are some really cool shoes though." And that was that. Needless to say, I no longer hide things from my family. They are far more understanding than I give them credit for, and the emotional turmoil that keeping secrets causes is never worth it. All of these people made mistakes. Although their stories may have been different, they were still able to overcome them and learn a valuable life lesson. Except for him. He never learns.